Hey there, welcome back to that 70s Card Show. I'm your host, John Keating, and I thank you for joining me as I take a look back at the cards and the culture of the very colorful 1970s. We'll revisit a more simple time in our hobby by taking a deep dive into the sets and the stats with a generous amount of dad facts sprinkled in. That 70s Card Show is currently sponsored by nobody. If you'd like to leave a comment or suggestion, I urge you to drop me a line at that70scardshow@gmail.com, that 70s Card Show on YouTube, or 70s Card on Twitter. So this is episode 36, goals, and it's not what you think it's about. So a lot of uh, our hobby content creators have stated their goals throughout this new year, and Happy New Year to everybody, by the way. And I find myself listening to their goals and their reviews from 2021, and very interesting and fascinating to me. But that's not what this show is about at all. What is this show about, you wonder? Great question. So episode 36 reminds me of always reminds me of Brian Westbrook. Okay, I like to draw direct lines to my episodes at times. So 36 reminds me of Brian Westbrook, great running back for Villanova University and the Philadelphia Eagles, Super Bowl participant, Super Bowl non-winner, old Brian Westbrook. A lot of heart on that guy, great player. Bad knees, unfortunately. Snow on the ground, early January. Eagles are in the playoffs by some miracle and rebuilding year. They went 9-7.5. That half would be a loss to the Dallas Cowboys, who played full throttle against the Eagles' backup players as recently as last night. So congrats to the Eagles for making the playoffs in a rebuilding year or years. I guess that's promising for us. Also, Man City's 10 games up on their competition in the English Premier League, which is awesome. Man City is my team. Great team, best coach in the world, possibly the best team in the world. Great spring and late winter and spring ahead for the mighty Blues from Manchester, we hope. Congrats to Fanatics for picking up Topps and the Topps IP for trading cards, or at least baseball cards, football cards, basketball cards, and probably hockey cards too, even though they can't do anything with those. I think that it was going to happen. I'm glad it did happen. Hopefully there's a big exhale from many of the people that were worried about that. So a bright future there. Obviously, Topps had, I like to define it as the kind of the sands were creeping out of their hourglass. It's kind of like in European or world soccer, where you have a player that is not going to sign for a team. Very rarely do they trade players in that sport. So what they do is they do transfer fees for cash and occasionally a make-weight player. They call it make-weight, means add a player in there as well. So as a player is running his contract down, kind of like in baseball, a transfer fee, the closer they get to their contract being expired, the less you're going to get for that player in return, whether it's in baseball, people or draft picks, football, same thing, or in soccer, it's cashola, euros, pounds, and reals, whatever the currency they decide on. So Topps, I think, was wise to sell soon. This probably would have been a $400 million deal next year, maybe a $300 or $250 million deal the following year. So good on Topps for knocking that out. They still retain some of their parts that I'm sure they'll sell off at this point, whether it's the confectionery business or whatever they have left over. So it's a great deal. Keep in mind that we talk about this $1 billion Topps valuation going public. That was at the apex of the hobby 6 months back, that valuation. So it wasn't realistic anyway. They didn't lose as much as maybe you thought they lost in the deal. $500 million seems like a win-win for both sides. So congrats to Fanatics, congrats to Topps, and congrats to the hobby. So goals, not hobby goals. We're going to talk a little bit about what you guys call soccer, what the rest of the world calls football. Now, hear me out. You may learn something in this episode. I know I did researching it. So maybe you stick around, maybe you listen. I know you people love the baseball stuff, but let's see where this takes us. Okay, so in particular, we're going to talk about probably the biggest athlete, or the most widely known athlete in the world in the 1970s, and some would say that that's probably or possibly Muhammad Ali, but think this is before Jordan, this is before Brady, this is before LeBron. Ali was up there, but this guy that I'm about to talk about was by far, I think, the most recognized athlete in the world, probably for several decades, maybe the 60s and the 70s. His name was Edson Arantes do Nascimento. We refer to him as Pele, and he was born on October 23rd, 1940 in Minas Gerais, Brazil. He was the son of Fluminense footballer Dondinho, which is a affectionate term. We would say Donnie here in the States, but Dondinho is the name of his father, as he was known as a football player, and his mother was Celeste Arantes. He was the elder of two siblings. He was named after the American inventor Thomas Edison. His parents decided to remove the I and call him Edson. But there was a mistake on the birth certificate, leading many documents to show his name as Edison, not Edson, as he is called. He was originally nicknamed Dico by his family. He received the name Pele during his school days, when it was claimed he was given it because of the pronunciation of his name of his favorite player, local Vasco da Gama goalkeeper Pele, which he misspoke. But the more he complained, the more the name stuck. So in his autobiography, Pele stated he had no idea what the name means, nor did his old friends. So apart from the assertion that the name is derived from that of Pele, and which is Hebrew for miracle, there is no word in the Portuguese language that correlates with Pele. So Pele grew up in poverty in Bauru, in the state of Sao Paulo. I've been to Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo, even at its nicest areas, displays poverty in a way that will strike you as shocking. Pele earned money by working in tea shops as a servant. He was taught to play by his father. He could not afford a proper football and usually played with either a sock stuffed with newspaper and tied up, or a grapefruit. So that's kind of a common thread amongst many soccer players throughout the world. The thing about soccer is you can do it on your own. Practice, play with your buddies. You really don't need much, just a little bit of flat space and something round. So that's why it appeals to so many people throughout the world. And so many of the great soccer players throughout the world did grow up in poverty. And it really is a kind of a neat story there. Obviously, a lot don't make it, but the ones that do, it's great to see that that happen. In 1956, his futsal coach, De Brito. Now, futsal is a version of indoor soccer, kind of, we would, I guess maybe deck hockey or something like that, but it's more fast paced, and since it's indoors on the smaller court. So anyway, it's still popular, by the way. Futsal has leagues throughout the world. Getting back, I apologize. So his old futsal coach took Pele to Santos, which is an industrial and port city located near Sao Paulo, to try out for professional club Santos FC, telling the directors at Santos that the 15-year-old would be the greatest football player in the world. I'm sure that happens a lot, but in this case, it turned out to be true. So Pele impressed Santos coach Lula during his trial, and he signed a professional contract with the club in June 1956. Pele was highly promoted in the local media as a future superstar. Can't miss, I guess, right? He made his senior debut for Santos on September 7th, 1956, at the age of 15 against Corinthians, and had an impressive performance in a 7-1 victory, scoring the first goal in his prolific career during the match. 15 years old, playing with men, he scored his first goal. So fast forwarding there, Pele's 643 goals for Santos was the most goals scored for a single club until it was surpassed by Lionel Messi of Barcelona in December of 2020. So, pausing the button right here, we have club soccer, club football, whatever you want to call it, which is a club. You play for your club, and then you have international soccer, which you play for your nation. So that's one of the dynamics I find fascinating about international football is you can play against your opponents one week, and the next week you're playing with your opponents against other nations. So that's a pretty interesting thing. English fans and Italian fans and German fans have to root against a player one week and root for them the next. And keep in mind that if you go to a game in Europe, you cannot sit. Well, I guess I don't know whether it's all of Europe, but in England for sure it's segregated, which means if I had a Man City jersey on, I needed to sit in the Man City section at Old Trafford against Man United. They don't intermingle fans from opposing clubs. You will be asked to leave, and you will probably be carried out by a few of the local fans as well. So back to our hero here, Pele. After the 74 season, 1974 that is, which was his 19th with Santos, Pele retired from Brazilian club football, although he continued to occasionally play for Santos in official competitive matches. 2 years later, he came out of semi-retirement to sign with the New York Cosmos of the North American Soccer League, which we used to call NASL, or maybe Nasal, but we used to call it NASL, and that was for the 1975 season. At a chaotic press conference at New York's 21 Club, the Cosmos unveiled Pele. John O'Reilly, the club's media spokesman, stated, "We had superstars in the United States, but nothing on the level of Pele. Everyone wanted to touch him, shake his hand, get a photo with him." Though well past his prime at this point, Pele was credited with significantly increasing public awareness and interest of the sport in the United States. During his first public appearance in Boston, he was injured by a crowd of fans who had surrounded him and was evacuated on a stretcher. There are stories of Pele having to leave countries dressed as a pilot, an airplane pilot, to get him out of the country. This guy was obviously widely recognized and admired by everyone. So Pele made his debut for the Cosmos on June 15th, 1975 against the Dallas Tornado at Downing Stadium, scored one goal in a 2-2 draw. Pele seemed always up for the big stage, so he scored a goal in his debut with the Cosmos. He opened a door for many players and stars to play in North America, including Giorgio Cianaglia from Italy, who followed him to the Cosmos, then Franz Beckenbauer, who was a legend in Europe, and his former teammate in Santos, Carlos Alberto. Over the next few years, other players came to the league, including Johan Cruyff, Eusebio, Bobby Moore, Georgie Best, and Gordon Banks. Players nowadays jump all over the place in Europe, and pretty much Europe is the destination for most big names these days, with various countries or nations, club leagues feeding the European Big Five. MLS still kind of has that stigma where if they get a great player, it's usually a guy past his prime. So nothing's really changed in that aspect in 40 plus years, I guess. But he did, it was a big leap for a guy to go from South America to North America at that time, especially Pele, who again was probably the most widely recognized athlete in the world at that point. So continuing on, he led the Cosmos to the 1977 National Championship in his third and final season with the club. In June 1977, the Cosmos attracted a national record 62,394 fans to Giant Stadium for a 3-0 victory past the Tampa Bay Rowdies, with the 37-year-old Pele scoring a hat trick. In the first leg of the quarterfinals, they attracted a U.S. record crowd of 77,891 for what turned into an 8-3 rout of the Fort Lauderdale Strikers at Giant Stadium. In the second leg of the semifinals against the Rochester Lancers, the Cosmos won 4-1. Pele finished his official playing career by leading the New York Cosmos to their first soccer bowl title with a 2-1 win over the Seattle Sounders at the Civic Stadium in Portland, Oregon. Man, I can't imagine 77 plus thousand people crowding in for a soccer game in the late 70s. That shows you the draw of this guy, because I don't even know what the record attendance in the United States is, but it's got to be, maybe it's the Women's World Cup back at the Rose Bowl, but this was two club teams playing in the 70s, this is before everybody started playing soccer in the United States. So on October 1st, 1977, Pele closed out his career in an exhibition match between the Cosmos and Santos. The match was played in front of a sold-out crowd at Giant Stadium and was televised in the U.S. on ABC's Wild World of Sports. As well as throughout the world, Pele's father and wife both attended the match, as well as Muhammad Ali and Bobby Moore. That's Sir Bobby Moore, delivering a message to the audience prior to the start of the game. Love is more important than what we can take in life. Pele played the first half with the Cosmos and the second half with his old club, Santos. The game ended with the Cosmos winning 2-1, with Pele scoring a 30-yard free kick for the Cosmos in what was the final goal of his career. During the second half, it started to rain, prompting a Brazilian newspaper to come out with a headline the following day: "Even the sky was crying." So let's get on to international stuff here. Pele first played international football on July 7th in 1957 with a 2-1 defeat against Argentina at the Maracana in Rio de Janeiro. So in that match, again, rising to the occasion, he scored his first goal at the age of 16 years and 9 months and remains the youngest goal scorer for his country. A lot of great players have come out of Brazil. He's still the youngest to score for his country. So Pele, obviously regarded one of the greatest players of all time, also coined the phrase "the beautiful game" with football, or at least attached it to football. And it's a phrase that's still used often today to universally describe the sport. We'll go over a few of his accomplishments here, both at a club level and an international level. He was voted. Oh, hold on a second. I'm getting ahead of myself. He was among the most popular and successful sports figures of the 20th century that we know. In 1999, he was named Athlete of the Century by the International Olympic Committee and was included in the Time list of 100 most important people of the 20th century. I don't even think he played in the Olympics, because of back then, amateurs only would play in the Olympics, and of course, he was not an amateur from the age 15 on. In 2000, Pele was voted World Player of the Century by the International Federation of Football History and Statistics, and was one of 2 joint winners of the FIFA Player of the Century. His 1,279 goals in 1,363 games, which included friendlies, is recognized as a Guinness World Record. So that FIFA poll, people-wise, keep in mind when this was taken in the late 90s, Pele's best days were behind him. He was not playing. Maradona was still on people's minds. So in the open poll, internet voting for people like you and I, Maradona killed him 53% to 18% as the player of the century. But the magazine readers for FIFA magazine and the grand jury voted him overwhelmingly 72% to 9%. Actually, Maradona was 6% at that point. 72.75% against Alfredo Di Stefano's 9.75%. He was overwhelmingly voted the player of the century. So I guess what they did is they made them co-players of the century. 2 great players for sure. Began playing with Santos at 15 and the Brazil national team at 16. During his international career, he won 3 FIFA World Cups, which was 58, 62, and 70. He's the only player to do that. He's also the all-time leading goal scorer for Brazil with 77 goals in 92 games. At the club level, we talked about, he's all-time leader there with for Santos at 643 goals in 659 games, almost 1 per goal. So he led Santos to the Copa Libertadores in 62 and 63. In 62 and 63, the Intercontinental Cup, they call it. Credited with connecting the phrase "the beautiful game," as we say, his electrifying goal and penchant for spectacular goals made him a star around the world, and his teams toured internationally in order to take full advantage of his popularity. During his playing days, Pele was, for a period, the best paid athlete in the world. Again, almost a goal a game throughout his career. He was adept at striking the ball with either foot, which is kind of a big deal. A lot of players obviously are right-footed or left-footed. He could also drop deep, take a role as a playmaker, which means you're the next level back. You're creating plays. You're the second assist or the assist for the goal. He wasn't just a striker or a poacher. Provided assists with his vision and passing ability, and he would also use his dribbling skills to go past opponents. In Brazil, he was hailed as a national hero for his accomplishments in football and for his outspoken support of policies that improve the social conditions of the poor. His emergence at the 1958 World Cup, where he became the first black global sporting star, was a source of inspiration. Jackie Robinson obviously did a lot for baseball, did everything for baseball and integration in 47. 10 or 11 years later, Pele essentially did the same on an international level. So let's talk a little bit about some of his other stuff here. FIFA World Cup Best Young Player in 58. FIFA World Cup Silver Ball in 1958. The Golden Ball in 1970. That means the player of the tournament most goals. World Player of the Century we talked about. South American Player of the Century. Best Brazilian Player of the Century. It goes on and on and on. He won the Ballon d'Or in 58, 59, 60, 61, 63, 64, 70. That's 7 times. Messi and Ronaldo seem to share that award in these days, but he was the guy that was winning them all back then. BBC Overseas Sports Personality of the Year in 1970. Reuters made him the Athlete of the Century in 1999. South American Football Player of the Year, 73, blah, blah, blah. The guy just was amazing. His number 10 has been retired by the New York Cosmos. And that's about it. Again, most goals for Brazil, most goals for Santos, most goals in an international or an intercontinental cup, most hat tricks in world football, most career goals in world football. Again, most winter medals at the World Cup, 3. Youngest winner of a World Cup at 17. Youngest scorer in a World Cup at 17. Youngest player to score a hat trick at the World Cup at 17. Youngest player to play in a final at the World Cup, 17. And the youngest scorer in a final, 17 years old. So most assists provided in World Cup history, 10. And, again, it just goes on and on and on. So Pele, getting up there in age, I believe he's 80 or 81 at this point. Not in great health, but let's talk a little bit about his cards throughout the years. Keep in mind here, this is another thing we have to remind ourselves. The card collecting was almost exclusively an American infatuation for many, many years. The rest of the world typically started out with stickers and sticker books and stuff like that. So, one reason I always say is we're trying to educate the world on how to collect cards. We're still doing that, kind of like the world is educating us on the sport of soccer. So, what you'll find back then is you'll find more stickers in Panini, obviously a name we know very well, and involved in the sticker game on an international level. So we're going to look at his stuff from the 70s. Not a lot there, but we're going to take a look nonetheless because that's what this show is all about. So 1970, he had himself a Panini World Cup sticker. Nice little shot, kind of a posed shot in his Brazil yellow and green uniform. Front sticker looks pretty neat. It's got a soccer ball on the upper left, Brazil across the top. Upper right has a caricature of a soccer player. Bottom left is the crest of the Brazil national team. Pele prominently displayed across the bottom center, and 1970 World Cup trophy is in the bottom right. The back of these stickers just goes to show you here they're made in Italy by Panini, obviously. Big Panini logo on the bottom. I guess that's Modena, Italy, is where they were printed. Maybe I'm wrong, but anyway, it's in English, then in German. The back of these things, and this is card number 38 or sticker number 38. I'm sorry, it says World Cup story on the top, card number 38, sticker 38. And again, directions to collect these stickers in the album available from your local shop. That's what it says in English. And I'm sure it says the same in German, and then French, and then looks like Portuguese, probably Dutch, and then rounding out the bottom looks like Espanol, and probably hitting all the popular languages back in the day. This guy will run, according to Beckett.com, $25 to $60, depending on condition, from excellent all the way up to near mint. Again, these are stickers, so any of these things that survive are pretty impressive, if you ask me. It says 1970 Panini World Cup sticker, number 180 for Pele, but the back of the sticker says 38, so don't know what's going on there. So moving on to real quick here, they came in these albums. I'm displaying one right now if you're watching on YouTube, which was the Mexico 70 World Cup album, sticker album, with that you would put these stickers in with the host cities proudly dotted on the front of the map, along with the trophy and the Mexican crest that's on their flag of Mexico and all that stuff. So that's about that. Moving on to 1971. According to Beckett, we can only find one real product there. There may have been some regional products, but listed price-wise, this is the 71 Barrett and Company, famous sportsman, UK, number 30. Lists on Beckett from $50 to $100. But on eBay here, I'm also popping up a PSA mint number 9 that is listed right now for $4,999.99. And if you're going to put that on layaway or PayPal credit, that's $223 a month, apparently. So a little guy, looks like one of the tobacco cards. I'm not sure how these were distributed, but it says a series of 50 cards, and a little blurb on the back, which is kind of cool. It says the Prince of Footballers, who has scored over 1,000 goals and who could be transferred for up to £250,000 if his club would let him go. This South American was the star of the 62 World Cup and the man of the 1970. Glides through defenses like an eel, and inventor of the banana shot, a curving shot. So 250,000 pounds he could transfer for. Give you some perspective. These cats these days, most teams have players in England that make over 250,000 pounds a week, and a transfer fee for Pele would have been easily approaching $200 million in today's economics, if you ask me. So, yeah, that's his 71 Barrett and Company Limited card. Let's move on to 73 here. This is a 73 Panini OK VIP album sticker. This is number 156, and I've displayed on here kind of a disparity here. Beckett says 15 cents to 40 cents. Meanwhile, an OC, a Mint 9 PSA, is listed as $1,200 on eBay currently, and it says it's the highest graded one. So this sticker was, again, a smaller size, probably similar to some of the Bowman ones back in the early 50s, and it has a cartoon character of Pele with red lipstick on. Not sure what that's all about. A soccer ball over his head, longingly looking at the World Cup trophy. And on the front, it says 156 Pele. And again, these are, I don't think these are stickers. Yeah, they are stickers. I'm sorry. They're stickers. And again, it has the same thing. This is OK VIP, I guess, which is the name of the company. And again, it's Italy. So I'm sorry, the name of the series. Again, it's Italy with Panini. And again, the instructions are in multiple languages on the back for your viewing pleasure. 74 Pele. Let's talk about 74 Pele. This is another World Cup sticker. Number 50, Beckett lists that at $10 to $25. It's Pele on the shoulders of his teammates at Azteca Stadium in Mexico City, recounting in black and white with a nice little border around a red border with gold lacing or yellow lacing. Very classy. And it says simply on the front, Remet, 1970. And Remet was the name of the trophy. I think 1970 was the last year they called it the Remet Trophy. It just became the World Cup trophy after that, I believe. So, and a different kind of trophy than the one they hold up today. So that was Remet, named after a French, probably FIFA person or something like that. So again, $10 to $25 for that sticker to find that bad boy. Moving on to, let's see here. Let me see where we're going to go. See if this one works. Nope, not that one yet. So Sportscaster Series. So Sportscasters, if you are of my age, you got a lot of things through the mail in series, whether or sets, whether they were recipe cards, encyclopedias, the Columbia Record and Tape Club of the month, all that nonsense. A lot of stuff was mail ordered, advertised in the back of magazines and in UHF late at night, UHF TV. So the Sportscaster Series was one of that, and it was thousands of cards. And they kind of looked like some of the old recipe cards, if you ask me. So it was pretty wild stuff. Anyway, these a little bit oversized cards, and again, this someday maybe I'll go over this set, not the entire set because there's a couple thousand cards in there. But let me see if I can read a little blurb that I found on the internet about Sportscasters. 77 to 79, a collection that has come to be known as Sportscasters card was offered by mail order subscription in the United States, Europe, and Japan. The cards were shipped in sets of 24 on a periodic basis and covered traditional popular sports such as golf, baseball, football, soccer, boxing, along with unusual and rare sports and activities like badminton, bullfighting, and deep sea diving. The set was huge with more than 2,000 cards. So again, released in series, you subscribed. It was probably very difficult to get out of your subscription once you started because there was no internet canceling. There was probably no operators on the other end. You probably had to write a letter. And by that point, you'd already gotten a series or two back in the mail. So good luck canceling that. So we're going to start off with Pele. It was featured in 3 of these cards over the years. This is Series 1, card 17. Pele and his international outfit there, and it's got little displays at the top signifying whether he's a person, what sport he played, all that stuff. And the back has a whole bunch of fun stuff written about him. It says soccer, World Cup champ, Pele, etc. And these cards were printed all over the place. Some were printed in Japan, some were printed in Italy, but obviously distributed everywhere. And photography was credited at the bottom. Along with, I think it's an Italian company or I don't know. I think it's an Italian company or a Swiss company that produced these. So again, available essentially worldwide. Us Americans consumed the heck out of them, I'm sure. So this is his card number 17 out of Series 1. We're going to move on to card number 10 12, which is Series 10. Card number 12. This one I've displayed in a Beckett slab, Beckett vintage, or Beckett BGS slab as number 7, and it's Pele. Kind of describes his story, his life story, and I think it's Bobby Moore. I think he's given a hug to Bobby Moore there on the pitch. Maybe 1966 when England won it all at home at Wembley, but obviously, way back then, it was still soccer players kind of invented the whole shirt swap thing. So that's what was going on down there, which is why you have 2 guys without their shirts on. Again, I think it's Bobby Moore or Bobby Charlton, one of those guys. But anyway, Pele and another English legend there. Next jam is going to be the Series 57 card 7, which is referred to as 5707. This is Pele with the Cosmos. More action shots, him juking a couple players on the front, along with a nice little headshot there, and his detailing on the back, some information about the Cosmos. So these cards, his first series card, $3 to $6, his Series 10 card, $4 to $8, and Series 57 card, $7.50 to $15. Not sure why there was a graduated price as the series went on. Perhaps it wasn't as popular as the manufacturers anticipated, so there was shrinking supply and now more demand, obviously. All right, moving on to 1978, we have 78 Panini. This is another sticker. Again, nothing too crazy here. Got a PSA 8 up there right now, front and back. Same stuff. Says Argentina 78 World Cup on the back because obviously the World Cup was probably in Buenos Aires in Argentina. $6 to $15 raw card depending on your condition. And again, multilingual back instructions on letting you know how stickers work and where you should put them. I'm sure I'd love to see the percentage of how many actually ended up in books and not on buses and lockers. Well, maybe they didn't have lockers where these things were popular, but I'm sure they got stuck everywhere. More so not on books than on books. And finishing our tour of the 70s with Pele, we have the 79 Venerlandis, Our Heroes, World of Sport Soccer Pele, number 11. I've brought up a gem mint, which is currently on eBay for $1,800 US. And it's really a cool looking card, and it's a cool set because it's produced in England and features, for instance, Muhammad Ali's in there, right? So Muhammad Ali, big deal on the international stage. Has horse riders, it has shot putters, it has motorcycle racers, F1 racers. F1 we think is a big deal now. F1's always been a big deal over there, so this features quite a few F1 legends in England and a couple tennis pros, including Bjorn Borg and Jimmy Connors and Chris Evert, Mr. Chris Evert. John Lloyd, I think his name was, who Chris Evert married in '79. So hopefully I intend to highlight this show somewhere, or this set somewhere down the road. Pretty cool little set. I think it's about 48 cards. So other than that, there's not a lot of information on the internet about 79 Venerlandis. I even reached out to Uncle Rich last night, and the internet's been scrubbed. I described to him that this thing's going on. This thing went into the witness protection program at some point because the information is limited on what, who, when, how, and why this thing was produced. So yeah, that's that. So that's my little trip through the 70s with probably the greatest athlete on the planet, or the most wide-known athlete on the planet in the 60s and 70s. Again, I think only Ali would be comparable to him. Hope you enjoyed it. I know it wasn't your normal thing. It definitely wasn't your normal goals 2022 opening goals podcast and video, but again, it's about education, and the more I dive in and the more I learn, the more happy I am about learning, and it obviously gives me new roads to explore in collecting and whatnot. So anyway, I hit my first show yesterday at the Plymouth Meeting Mall of 2022. I bought 6 72 high numbers, one of which I already had, Jim Wynn, and I bought a couple as Uncle Rich and Dr. Jim called them, not sample cards, but anyway, I bought some specimens to take a look at future episodes. I think great source of materials. They call them type cards. They're actually generic cards that we all know, but I had to buy. I like to have the cards in my hand of sets that I highlight. So anyway, that's that. I want to thank you for joining me this week back in time there in the 70s. If you have a comment or suggestion, perhaps you have a set from the 1970s you'd like to hear more about, or are interested in even coming on the show, you drop me a line at that70scardshow@gmail.com. Leave a comment at on YouTube, or hit me up on Twitter at 70scard. So that's about it. Have a great week. Have a wonderful and safe week is more importantly. It's a little crazy out there right now. It's snowing. It was snowing in Philadelphia last week, so careful of the weather, careful of that old COVID stuff, and the music playing us off here on our podcast is by Mango Safari, and enjoy collecting, and more importantly, enjoy your collection. Thank you for listening, everybody. I will see you soon. Goodbye.